This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Outside interest groups try to sway voters in the Charlotte mayor's race. Our first look at a slick video Charlotte's using in an effort to try to lure Amazon. And Carolina Panthers fans, are we weak? Some folks say we are. Those topics and more next on Off the Record. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff Rivenbark. In the next half hour, we'll discuss some of the local stories and the headlines this week. But first, I'd like to introduce this week's guest. We have with us Nick Oxner with WBTV News 3, David Borax with WFAE, Mark Garrison with WBT Radio, and veteran broadcaster B. Thompson. So good to have you all here with us.
Thank you.
Well, the election will be Tuesday, and that means Republican Kenny Smith and Democrat Vi Lyles have just a short amount of time to try to campaign for Charlotte voters. Now, let's take a look at some of the early voting numbers. Late Thursday afternoon, I had the chance to speak with Michael Dickerson, who is the director of the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections. He said the early voting numbers totaled 23,334 people, and of that number, about 12,000 are Democrat, about 6,000 are Republican, and about 6,000 unaffiliated. Now, keep in mind, you may have Democrats who voted for Kenny Smith and Republicans who voted for Vi Lyles. Now, by the time early voting closes early Saturday afternoon, Dickerson tells me the numbers are expected to be between 60 and 70% higher than they were during the 2015 election. Final turnout numbers for Tuesday's election, Dickerson says, is expected to be about 15 to 20%. That's about 105,000 to 140,000 voters expected to show up at the polls by the time they close on Tuesday. Lots of people are looking at the Charlotte mayor's race. So I want to start off our conversation first talking about that. We're seeing a lot of campaigning on the part of Kenny Smith, I know in particular, with ads on internet and also Facebook ads as well. We've also been seeing a lot of flyers going back in our mailboxes for these candidates. What are your thoughts?
That's because, we've known all along that Mr. Smith has a major war chest, and we knew that probably his campaign was gearing towards dealing with a sitting mayor, and so that money was coming in with the thought of unseating Jennifer Roberts. But in the primaries, you get Vi Lyles, who has a lot of, I would say, grassroots support in what her campaign has been about, because she's been involved in Charlotte government from the inside and not from an elected position. Her starting was more so as I work and working in finance. So she understood the money and what the city has been doing. And looking at this now and seeing where being inundated by a lot of direct mail stuff from Mr. Smith, and then an outside party on both sides, but particularly this past week talking about they were coming in to help Vi Lyles and other Democrats in other different cities. It makes me not question someone coming in, but it does make me say to local voters, pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the messaging that you're getting. Everything isn't always what it seems. So to me, if I had a concern, that would be the concern, and we're less than a week away from people actually getting to the polls. I am glad to see that the numbers are looking higher and trending higher, because that means that more of you are paying attention to what's going on. Local elections have a bigger impact on you more directly than national elections, and that's what you need to pay attention to.
This is an interesting race, though, and the Charlotte Observer, in endorsing Vi Lyles, the criticism they had of her was she's too timid. And I think that this is kind of like two people who signed up for a boxing match. Neither of them had boxed, and Kenny went and got some lessons on how to throw punches, and Vi was totally surprised by it because he's been attacking her heavily. She hasn't responded well. In the debate the other night, she said, well, this has been a very negative campaign, but she hasn't learned how to throw a punch yet.
But here's the thing. Kenny Smith may have thrown some punches, but has it actually been a negative campaign? I don't think so. I think it's kind of been a snoozer. But I think what we're seeing is that Kenny Smith is capitalizing on that a little bit. He has more money because he didn't have to run an expensive primary like I did, who actually raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, Vi Lyles did, and I've kind of surprised by that. But she had to spend most of hers up front. But I think when we talk about that turnout number and we see that it's actually pretty high, I think that is a good sign if you're Kenny Smith, because that means that all that money he's spending, the mailers, get to the polls, the turnout operation, it takes money to do that. And Smith is running a much more professional campaign because he has the money to pay for it.
And you're right that this hasn't been a nasty campaign, but I don't think Vi was really expecting television ads that would attack votes that she made. I don't think she was anticipating that.
One point about the turnout, there were fewer early voting days the last time around. Remember, we had that period of time when the legislature cut that short. So more voting days this time. That may be responsible for the larger early voting turnout. I am interested to hear Michael Dickerson talk about a possible 20% turnout.
That's
that would
high.
be phenomenal for Charlotte in an election like this and what's considered an off-year election.
And Nick, to your point of whether or not it's been a dirty election and that his spending that money may get more people out, it may also get more people out because they don't like what they're seeing coming from Republican side, because he's done a lot of mailers, but he's made a lot of accusations. And just as someone who reads things, I want to see you back that up. I mean, you can throw the general statement out, and we've seen that happen a lot of times. But you could have people who are like, why is he saying things like that? And that's not necessarily true. Or can you back up what you're saying with that? Is it true?
Yeah.
And you also get people to come out because they may not like what they're hearing.
Right.
Maybe, but when we talk about motivating people to get to the polls and go vote, when you have enough money to make all of those contacts, which Kenny has, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just he has it, that increases your chance of getting your voter to the polls. And if I'm Vi Lyles and I'm relying on people to vote out of spite, I don't know that that's a good guarantee. That
No, and I don't think it'll
Yeah.
necessarily be out of spite, but I think it will be sometimes when we are inundated with ads. You can turn people off with too much of that. And so it can work either way. That sword cuts both ways. So I just want to see people make their own decisions. You don't have to base it upon how much money one candidate spent or the other. Base it upon how you feel about it. And I'm going to always fall in that
Okay.
camp.
All right, I do want to move on because in some of the surrounding towns, there are a lot of other big races that are also attracting a lot of attention. Cornelius, Matthews, Concord, they're all going to be picking a new mayor. And one that sticks out to me is in Concord, Scott Padgett. He's been a longtime mayor there for 20 years. A lot of folks will be coming out to try to take part in deciding who will lead that city.
Yeah, Scott Padgett has been the mayor in Concord since 2001, and he's stepping down. He announced this summer. There are two people vying to replace him. One of them is Alfred Brown. He's a current city council member, and he's the son of a former mayor. There's also Liz Poole, who was on the Cabarrus County School Board running for that. It's not clear yet. There's been no polls in small towns or anything, so we don't know what's going on there. But I guess you've got two fairly experienced politicians there.
And let's talk about Davidson. I mean, that's also another big race there. You've got one longtime mayor that's running up against two new folks, right?
John Woods has been the mayor in Davidson since 2007. He has two challengers this time around. Lori Venzen is a former town board member, and Rusty Knox is a local musician and real estate agent who's been sort of a leader of a group that's been against development in town this year. There's a lot of venom going back and forth in that campaign on Facebook and in meetings, and it's a three-way race. And people ask me, I live in Davidson, I could not predict it at this point. You know, two people are going to split the vote, and the third one's going to come out ahead, and I couldn't tell you how it's going to go right now.
And there's also a bond on the ballot for Davidson residents, right?
That's
and
right. I can't remember the last time or if we've ever had a bond
issue,
on the
yeah.
ballot in Davidson. You know, one of the criticisms of some of the anti-town hall folks in Davidson is that the town's finances are a mess. Well, it turns out that they have been able to put together a bond issue, and they're looking at getting a pretty good bond rating for that. This is for streets and roads, parks and greenways, and so pretty basic stuff that small town government does. The two challengers are against the bonds. Mayor Woods was on the board, which approved putting it on the ballot, so we'll see what happens.
And we've got in Mint Hill and Huntersville, the contenders are actually they're running unopposed, right?
That's right. And in Cornelius, Mayor Chuck Travis is stepping down. You know, he came under some criticism last year for being a supporter of the I-77 toll lanes. The mayor pro tem, Woody Washam, is stepping up, and he is unopposed for mayor. So Washam will become the mayor in Cornelius.
And I guess one of the big issues that some of these cities are dealing with, or towns rather, is growth. Trying to fight that, right?
You know, growth, I-77 tolls up in the north. In Matthews, the issues people are talking about schools. You remember they have talked about should we secede from
Or
CMS and
have
that
a
sort of
charter
thing.
school system.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we didn't mention Matthews. Jim Taylor is retiring as the mayor there after 8 years, and he's got, I think, 5 people vying to replace him. He has endorsed Paul Bailey. Paul Bailey is on the CMS school board right now for the
That's
6th
interesting.
district, and he's decided to go back to Matthews, where he was on the town board, and run for that. There are several others. Larry Whitley is the first African American ever elected to the city council there in Matthews, and they're, I think they're going to be a good race there.
So it's certainly a big day, and I just want to remind folks, tomorrow, Saturday, is your last chance for early voting. So if you want to try to go ahead and get it done, do your civic duty, do it so you don't have that hanging over you on Tuesday. But please, by all means, if you can't do it tomorrow, Saturday, be sure to make plans to do it on Tuesday.
I got to say this, for those of you who have been around this area for a while, think about it. This may be one of the first times, not only for Charlotte, but for the small towns of Mecklenburg County, that we're actually seeing a ripple of changing things.
Yeah.
That there aren't people who are going to stand there for another 10 or 15 years. So if you're going to get involved, like if you're in the Davidson area, if you've been around for a while, you know the Knox name up in that end of the county. So please pay attention. Please go and vote, because this is a time that change is happening, and it only happens when you do what you're supposed to do.
Now, another big thing on the Mecklenburg County ballot is the CMS Bond. I mean, nearly $1 billion, $922 million bond package. There's been strong opposition, especially from folks in the northern part of Mecklenburg County, who feel that they're not getting their fair shake of this bond. And I know WFAE, your colleague, David, Gwendolyn Glenn, did a story this week where she actually went to Briarwood Academy, and it was very interesting to see some of the conditions that were in that school. I mean, overcrowded classrooms, bathrooms that sometimes overflow. Some of the schools in our district are in poor shape. But the question is, has CMS done a good enough job to sell this to voters? And do you think they will vote for it?
Well, we've seen a good bond campaign, a good, strong bond campaign, as we always do, from the chamber and business leaders in town. Jeff, I think that the opposition to the bonds up in North Mecklenburg has maybe been overstated by the Charlotte media. I mean, it is a little bit unusual to have a campaign against a bond, which is effectively what the Lake Norman Chamber is doing. But I think there hasn't been as much attention paid to the problems in the schools in Charlotte that really do need the attention this time around. I mean, people who support the bonds will point out that, look, North Mecklenburg has gotten money in recent years. We've sort of caught up on what we've needed there. We got to pay some attention to the inner city schools, and Briarwood is a great example. You walk through the halls there, and teachers tell us that it smells like sewage in there, and so how can we?
But this is another
that?
problem with CMS, as we pointed out. I mean, just this week, East Mech had a low score again on their building inspection, and they had filthy bathrooms, and they're not up for any particular remodeling in this bond. CMS spends $22 million a year and has one of the worst records in the state for just even putting toilet paper in bathrooms. So there are a lot of people who are coming out going, wait a minute, if you can't keep up these schools, why do we trust you with more money to build new ones that you won't keep up? There's a serious maintenance problem in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools that needs to be addressed.
To me, that is a line item thing that needs to be addressed, but it shouldn't take away from the fact that you need this money to bring more schools in. Now, years ago, I would have really been upset with Charlotte-Mecklenburg, because the bulk of bond issues in this town, in most cases, the winning factor has been out of the African American community in Charlotte, and the numbers have proven that to be true.
That's true.
And yet, too often, when bonds were let and where the projects would be, it didn't necessarily happen in those communities that voted to support the bonds. So I have to give the school system some credit this time around, that you're being more equitable in where you're spending the money. You're not getting the votes from one part and spending the money in another part.
I wouldn't pat them on the back, B, because remember, the first list that came out did not have a new West Charlotte on there, and until Vilma Leak had a bunch of meetings on the west side and said, we're going to defeat this thing, then Ann Clark was like, oh, let's redo the list.
Again, what I'm saying is, you knew you weren't going to get those bonds passed.
That's right.
Unless you had those votes.
That's
so
right.
Now, use the leverage that you've got. And I think, don't punish the entire school system because because before, when the African American community said, but you said you were going to do, we'll get to you. We'll get to you. And this time around, you have the north end of the county going, oh my goodness, you're spending all that money. And David is exactly right. media jumped on this and said, there's opposition to the bonds, as opposed to saying, this time around, are you being more equitable in where you're spending
Charlotte
the dollars?
is finally spending money on these schools that really need
That
it.
really needs it.
You know, it's kind of like a big family that has lots of kids, and one kid's got holes in the shoes. You're going to replace the shoes on that kid's feet rather than give everybody new shoes. You know?
Yeah, or you already
where the
got
needs
a
are.
pair. You don't get a new pair of sneakers. You wait till the next time.
Well, another story this week on Thursday, the Charlotte Regional Partnership released a 5-minute video, actually 5.5-minute video, that
Let's
they sent
dance.
to Amazon
30
in an
seconds really
effort
made
to
the
try to
difference.
sway them to try to build their second headquarters here in Charlotte. Now, the video features 3 spokespeople. It kind of has a poetic quality about it and some really cool video of places in Charlotte and some places that aren't in Charlotte. And
Lighthouses?
Yeah,
Yeah,
lighthouses.
I
And
know.
who knew Chimney Rock was here?
They took a little license with some
Well, they
of
did a
these.
hard sell on why Charlotte is the #1 spot millennials want to move to. And in one scene, a spokesperson says, the fact is, this region is the prime place for y'all to launch y'all's new business. Now, I had to look out, how do you put an apostrophe on y'all's? But that's
It's Y apostrophe A-L.
Well, I think a big part of this, in looking at it, was that you want to not have the same old staid type of video that goes out that goes, we're the place that America is
That's
growing.
true.
They wanted to approach something
But is Amazon
differently.
even going to watch that video?
Well,
and then if they do, they're going
what
to
struck
giggle
me
over it.
about this, even if you giggle, what struck me about this is you showed the diversity. There's an African-American man with dreadlocks, there is a Latino-looking woman, and there's an average white boy.
Right,
that's
but
in
that
there,
just
too.
yeah. But anybody with any brains looks at that and goes, okay, the central casting to make sure they look diverse.
And who do they want to have working? People who are in that age group who would pick up on that and see it as an edgy
as the
city.
only millennial in this room.
No.
If I may.
wow.
Look, this
Hey,
is
are
a-
you calling us old?
I think he
You
is.
said it, not me. This is a dog and pony show, and it's really
Absolutely.
unfortunate because here's the problem. They're spending a lot of it's a dog and pony shows
Expensive.
using a lot of money, and
Yeah.
they're putting up a lot of money in incentives that they're offering, but they're not talking about that. They're,
That's
well,
right.
come look at our wooden box, come watch our corny video, but let's not tell you about the actual dollars that are
we're-
going into this, and
Yeah.
that's a real problem that really we should be talking about.
I think they're right, actually. I mean, this is going to be decided on a number of factors, and it's going to be decided away from these video cameras and headlines and that sort of thing. You know, there's a meeting yesterday in Charlotte here to talk about what the bid looks like. It's kind of, they called it a media event or something. You know, there are all these stages in the process here, but they are still not talking about what's in the box, basically. And North Carolina, whoever might get it here, is up against some really stiff competition. I mean,
yeah.
$8 billion being
From
offered
New
to try and
Jersey.
bring it to Newark,
Yeah,
New
but it's
Jersey.
New Jersey.
They need to put up $8 billion. I don't know if that's enough.
No.
$3 billion or so in Chicago. I mean, North Carolina has never given incentives, I think, that are
Not
more
like
than
that.
about $100 million.
that's
and,
right.
So we really have some tough competition.
You know what strikes me about this? It makes me think of a bad movie out of Hollywood.
It was a
There's
bad
some
movie.
people sitting around a table going, yeah, the young kids are really going to like that. It's like,
All right.
And the truth is, Amazon is just like, show me the money. I mean, that's what. Obviously, they care about other factors, but don't kid yourself. The incentives are a big deal.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Duke Energy. They have removed 13 million tons of coal ash from 5 of its sites across North Carolina, but the utility says it would take more than 2 decades to remove all the ash. Now, David, I know you spoke with a spokesperson with Duke Energy earlier this week, and she was telling you that, you know, it's going to be a monumental task to try to remove all the coal ash, and so, you know, seems like their solution is to keep it in these waterproof tarps or underneath a waterproof tarp.
Well, there are some sites at Duke Energy plants that they are required by either state law or court orders to remove that stuff. They'll dig it up out of the ground and put it into new lined landfills that are covered as well. And Duke is doing that at some sites, but they're resisting doing it anywhere else. And you know, they're doing it at the plants in South Carolina, Kentucky, and Indiana that they own. The environmental groups here in North Carolina would like to see them do that for all the sites here. But Duke's argument, as you just mentioned, is that, look, we've got some of these sites have 30 million tons, 20 million tons of coal ash that has accumulated over the decades. It's a byproduct of burning coal for electricity. And they would like to keep it there because the task of moving it would take so much.
Plus,
so
if you
did
go
you
to
just
Lee
say
County,
basically that they will remove the ash from every other state, but not the old North state, which is
Well,
their
some in
home
North Carolina,
state.
they will.
Very little
They're doing it where
compared
they're
to where
required to do it.
Yeah, they're doing it where
Absolutely.
people have made them, and that's the thing.
And if
Yeah.
you drive up to Lee County, just south of Raleigh, where they have one of the pits where they're dumping this stuff, those people there are outraged that all these trucks are coming in
Yeah.
and dumping that stuff on their
Yeah, and that
neighborhood.
would be my argument. I mean, I know that we may not want it in our backyard if we know it's contaminated, and we maybe don't want the tarp over it, and we want it removed. But think about the poor folk that live in that other county where it's
yeah.
going to be relocated.
There's
to.
no good. I mean, when you talk about cost, there's no good solution because it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
It's going to be disruptive. It's going to be expensive. Whatever you do, capping in place would be expensive too. Not as expensive as excavating it. But Duke is really trying to take the easiest way out here and arguing for its cap in place.
And don't forget, we got to
solution.
pay for this cleanup.
Well,
And
that's
how
right.
do we do that? Duke
That's
is
right.
right now in the middle of rate increase
Yeah.
proceedings at the Utilities Commission, and they would like the Utilities Commission to approve extra money in your monthly bill to
pay
help
for
pay for
that,
this.
yep.
The consumer advocates in the state, environmentalists are all arguing that this should be something that the company and its shareholders
They
pay
should
for.
pay for it.
Another story this week, 2 more people, employees who were workers at the Pasquotank Correctional Institute died this week. So now the total is up to 4 prison workers that have died as a result of the inmates that tried to escape early in October, mid-October. Now, I know that you've been following the story a lot, Nick. The Department of Corrections did not want WBTV to report on some of the findings that you received this
They
week,
absolutely
right?
did not. The Department of Public Safety pushed back very hard. We were able to obtain a copy of internal reports from inside the prison that show it took 20 minutes for corrections officers to respond after this attack started inside the sewing plant at Pasquotank Correctional Institution. It happened in a sewing plant where workers were working, violent offenders were working with tools. They were being guarded by one corrections officer who got attacked. They attacked a second supervisor who was walking out of an elevator. And from the first minute that attack started, it took 20 minutes before help arrived.
Have they given any reason why it took so long?
Not only have they not said anything, as you alluded to, they've demanded that we take our story down, and DPS has not said anything. The governor has not said anything. These families, the maintenance man who died last night, Jeffrey Howe, was attacked 17 minutes into this incident, and so it makes you wonder: had they not taken 20 minutes to get
Yeah.
there?
And
could
why
this
are
have been
they so
prevented?
short-staffed there?
They're short-staffed across the state.
Right.
That's the thing. We're hearing from corrections officers all across the state now that are saying, look, we sometimes go and work a shift with 3 people on a unit.
Wow.
This is a problem that has permeated throughout the prison system. It's been ignored for decades, and this is the consequences.
Nick, would they answer any questions about the number of times that employees have come under attack when
They
they're
won't answer any.
short-staffed?
They won't answer any questions, and literally, this is not really hyperbole. They're never fully staffed.
It's interesting in your reporting, Nick, there was a quote from a Department of Corrections spokeswoman, Pamela Walker. She said, "This information is protected and confidential information that has been illegally assessed on a state computer and illegally provided to you. The department asks that you not publicize this confidential information." The information needs to get out so that
Yeah, it
the
does.
rest of us and the rest of the state know what the conditions are, maybe in prisons that are closer to us.
We call that censorship, is what that
Yeah.
absolutely
It's
is.
called kill the
And-
messenger.
And under
Yeah.
no circumstances do we bow to the state asking us not to publish something, especially something like this that makes them look bad. And this was damage control is what they tried
Yep.
to do, and we will not stand for it.
And let me just say, even though Nick called the rest of us old a minute ago, we need to really pat him on the back. This is great work that he got that he got those internal documents, and it's great work that when the state demanded under threat of lawsuit, Channel 3 told him to go stick it and refused to back down on the story, and that's huge. And congratulations.
Well,
And that's called freedom of the press.
That's
And I would
Absolutely.
also like to sing your praises too, because so many times in newsrooms we may say, well, let's not cover that story because it's not in our DMA.
Yeah.
Pasquotank County is very far away
Yep.
from the Charlotte
Yeah.
television market, but I'm glad that you saw the need to try to go after this.
Well,
And
also-
prisons are a statewide
Well,
issue.
yeah,
Right,
and
yes,
also,
they are.
we did a story before this Tuesday. We did a report Monday where we talked to other corrections officers and an administrator who said they think the next incident like this, they were preparing for an incident like that to happen. They knew it happened soon. They thought it happened at Lanesboro Correctional Facility
Yeah.
in Anson County, so it could happen in our backyard any day.
Because
right.
that's the one that's had a lot that we've known
Absolutely.
about and had escapes and had people hurt.
Absolutely.
Well, the Carolina Panthers play against the Atlanta Falcons Sunday afternoon. Now, earlier this week, the sports news website SB Nation had a blog post which said the Falcons will, quote, deal with the light jeering of one of the weakest fan bases in the league. According to the Charlotte Observer, Matthew Chambers wrote the Panthers will need some help to win on Sunday, and they probably aren't about to get it from crowd noise from their weak fan base. He just went on to lambaste both the entire city. Are we fair weather fans here?
Yeah, there's a reason that I'm not a sports writer anymore. I got to tell you, the stuff they talk about is sometimes it's way out in left field, to use a
Wrong sport.
analogy there. Yeah. Anyway, are fans weaker than others? I don't know. I mean, I almost
Did it
feel
get
like
him
I
a lot
don't
of
want to
clicks on
respond
his
to
blog?
this.
Did it get him a lot of clicks on his
It
blog?
did.
this
I mean,
week?
And that's
I mean,
what it
I
was
want to say one thing.
designed for.
Last year, after we had trouble in Charlotte, and there were protests all that week, remember there was a football game on Sunday.
Right.
And I went out there, and
Yep.
the fans were out there strong, and
Yep.
they were,
Yeah.
you know, it was a big event. I mean, I don't think they're weak.
Although, on the other hand, Charlotte's always said to have been a wine and cheese crowd. The fans leave early. We're not as rabid as they are in some northern cities. But,
Where they need to have shots for rabies.
Yeah, really.
Because, and I think that's a big part of it. We may not have people going to the end zones and jumping up in there, or fans who are painting their faces. Well, yeah, we do have
We do have that, yeah.
But you can't
But
take
they-
your shirt off in the stadium because Jerry Richardson won't allow that.
That's right.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to see tattoos. I've heard.
Or bare breasts on men, I guess.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up
see
right
that.
now. Before it
I
goes
don't
any
see
further,
that.
that's all the time we have this week for this week's show. Again, I want to say thanks to Nick Oxner with WBTV News 3, David Borax with WFAE, Mark Garrison with WBT Radio, and veteran broadcaster B. Thompson. Want to remind you, if you get sick and tired of watching the election coverage on Tuesday night and you need to take a little break, tune in to WTVI PBS Charlotte at 8 o'clock for Carolina Impact. We'll highlight a camp that introduces teens to careers in the legal field, plus a program that gives refurbished skateboards to teens. That's a really cool story. I'm excited to see that again. And we'll take you on a high-octane adventure for some heart-pounding laps around Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've never done that. Have you, Mark? I'm sure you have.
In a van, believe it or
van.
not. I've been around the Charlotte Motor Speedway in a van.
All right, all that Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on Carolina Impact. I'm Jeff Rivenbark from all of us here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here again next week.
A production of PBS Charlotte.